Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Hasu and HayPro here on Scrap Station. We have Hasu spawning over here at the 3 o'clock position as the yellow Protos player. Meanwhile, we have HayPro spawning as the red Zerg player over here at the 12 o'clock position. This is game 2 in a best of 3 matchup. These are all these games recently have been from the TeamLiquid Invitational. I know that some of the other shoutcasters out there have been shoutcasting these games as well. I'm just trying to go in order of every single game, and then you'll perhaps already know the finals, but hopefully I'll be able to highlight some games that you may have missed earlier. Anyways, HayPro now coming in with this hatchery, looking to go going for a 10 hatch. Or no, going for that Overlord. So that Overlord is going to be a little bit late. We'll see what his exact strategy is going to be. Don't recognize the build orders. Anyway, Hasu on the other hand, getting that pylon by that front door, and then going to probably try to block that ramp a little bit with some gateways, just so that roaches and zerglings will not be able to push in as quickly. Coming back over here with Overlord now flying across this very, very short chasm between the two spawning locations here on Scrap Station, as this Overlord is going to be coming in, trying to grab some sites, seeing whether or not what the strategy is in fact going to be. And it looks to be a fairly late, no, actually the gateway is probably right on time, as we now have a probe now moving around. The probe looking around, going to see the spawning pool go down, so the spawning pool is in fact going down. We'll see if HayPro tries to save up any Zergling or larva for those Zerglings, or what the exact strategy is in fact going to be. Spawning pool now getting zapped a little bit by that probe just leaving a little bit of harassment, really not too much to draw any attention from those drones off that mineral line. Coming back over here, gateway now being warped in along with that Vespian geyser, getting that assimilator up and running, so that should be up and running in a little bit of time. Getting another pylon, probably gonna get that cybernetics core first or that gateway. We'll see what strategy Hasu in fact does try to do. Also getting 3 quick probes onto that assimilator. Taking a look back over here, we have the hatchery nearing completion, is going to be completed as the probe going to just do some more scouting. So Peppy the probe getting all of his sites in, and now going to be fighting against, I don't know what do I want to call the drone. Peppy, all I can think of is D is David, but I don't want to call David the drone. Peppy versus David, that's not that cute. Okay, I need a nice name for a D, so maybe David, Steve, and Peppy for each of those workers. Coming out over here, an Overlord flying overhead. Now it's Cybernetics Core coming down, so Cybernetics Core, single Cybernetics Core being used, and now we have a couple Zerglings moving out across the field. We'll see how those Zerglings are being used as that Zergling's trying to chase down that one single probe. We have in fact a single Zealot going to be guarding that ramp, so that Zealot trying to do a little bit of patrol in between that position. Looks like it's in some sort of Dance Dance Revolution competition as it's spinning around right there. So taking a look at that, let's see if that Zealot is in fact going to engage. Gets in 2 hits as those Zerglings going to be coming up that ramp. We'll see a Zealot now being warped in. No sentries as of yet. An additional Zealot being rallied to that one Zealot as well. We'll see how that's going to work as we now have a robotics facility. So Hasu quickly going for a robotics facility, and those Zerglings just running around HayPro, or Zerglings of HayPro just running around Hasu's base. Taking a look back over here, we have Overlords just all throughout the map, and now a fast hatchery expansion coming in from Zerg. So those Zerglings just able to just run around that map pretty freely. A secondary probe now coming out, perhaps going to build a gateway. And no gateway yet. Oh, an additional pylon. So making that choke point very, very small. And those Zealots just sitting off in that position. We'll see if what's going to be happening with that sentry, as that sentry will in fact be able to get a little bit of range. Zerglings just trying to push around. We'll see what's going to be happening here. And out comes the sentry. The sentry is in fact out, and now going to be able to focus down one of those Zerglings. Oh, Zergling down to 4 hit points. Able to escape. Coming back over here, we have taken a look at the drone production. Or sorry, the income. We have 26 harvesters for Hasu versus 30 for HayPro. So HayPro getting a little bit more income at this stage in the game. That sentry not walking nearly as quickly as those Zerglings. Zergling still regenerating hit points right now, and now additional gateways being warped in. So double or triple gateway with a single robotics facility, and now an observer being, I guess, built, since they don't really warp in. Now that Zealot, or that poor Zergling, down to 4 hit points. We'll see what's going to be happening with those Zerglings. One Zergling down, another Zergling down. So one Zealot with 2 kills there. Taking a look, Overlord now overhead, and now we have an observer moving out from Hasu. Hasu going to be using that observer to get some additional sight. We have a Roach Warren coming into play. No tech to tier 2 yet. So we'll see how that's really going to work out. I don't see that many units. Taking a look at the unit overlay, we have 2 Queens, 2 Zerglings, and not really large armies on either side of the map. Hasu sitting on a 600 mineral, 400 gas army versus the 2 Zerglings coming in from HayPro. HayPro probably not using that Zelnaga Watchtower. Where exactly is that Zergling? And it doesn't really matter. HayPro also using that spawn larva, trying to get some additional. Are those Zerglings? Yeah, more Zerglings being built. HayPro may consider trying to get some additional creep out, as well as he does in fact have 2 queens. So those 2 queens should start spawning creep tumors in order to speed up the movement speed of all Zerglings and roaches, which will be produced in just, yeah, roaches are now being produced. So roaches now moving out, roaches moving considerably slower on that normal ground as opposed to that creep. Zealots and sentries moving out with a couple of mortals. So we'll see how this really works out. Ooh, 2 Zerglings quickly getting taken down, hidden by that ledge. I was not able to see it. So those immortals and those sentries moving out with those zealots. We'll see how this is really going to work. A couple of Zerglings sitting in here, and those Zerglings being forced to run away, and now a pylon being warped in. So that pylon most likely going to be for that warp gate ability in order to deploy some reinforcements rather quickly. I believe this is a complete seal on that front door. So no Zerglings will be able to force any sort of counterattack. Now we have, what, 3 sentries, 2 immortals, and a fair number of zealots. Let's see how that's going to really work. Down goes one very, very quick roach as more zealots being warped in. And now just standing by this pylon, waiting to warp in perhaps some more units. And now force field's probably going to be coming in. And now quickly stopping all of those roaches from engaging. So those roaches will not be able to come into that fight. Nice placement of that force field. Once again, that one roach is going to get taken down, and now Zerglings coming in once again. Units trying to push in through here. Let's see how it's going to really work. And now trying to get some more force fields. All of those roaches unable to really engage, as the radius on a force field is in fact, what, 2.7. So those roaches not able to really deal that much damage to those zealots unless the zealot is standing right next to it. More roaches coming in, trying to get in position, but really nice positioning on those force fields. We're out of energy now, so no more force fields going to be coming in, but this may be enough to push back this attack, as those immortals are currently out of range from those roaches. Those roaches really need the immortals really need to start focusing down those roaches. No, the roaches are going to really be able to finish off this whole entire attack off, and HayPro will be able to live and fight another day. Down it goes. A couple of roaches in position. That single pylon has been taken out. The pylon over here by the Zelnaga Watchtower is still in play, but those Zerglings should be coming in and finishing it off. Yeah, down it goes. Pylon not going to be warping in any additional units. Taking a look at the army sizes, Hasu down to 250, while HayPro sitting at 1275. 300 and 400 mineral or 400 gas versus 475 respectively. We'll see how these immortals are going to really be able to push on out of there. Is that a 4th gateway? No, that's a robotics bay. Robotics bay now going to be used in order to build some additional colossi. And yeah, these units are all stuck on the back side, warping in more zealots as there's plenty of minerals to go around. Sitting on 1,000 minerals. Also going to be getting a forge, perhaps to get the zealot upgrades, the attack upgrades, to make short work of those Zerglings. Zerglings, however, taking a look at a Zergling, no upgrades to be found. I do not see. Is there an evolution chamber? No evolution chambers yet. Taking a look back over here, a single immortal robotics bay now up and running. We should be seeing a colossi very shortly. And there, yes, a colossus now being trained back up. Taking a look at the warp gates. Warp gates still warping in more sentries. Sentries probably not. Probably want to save it more for zealots now, as those colossus do in fact take a fair amount of gas in order to train up. Down goes that single pylon, as Hasu was in fact locked into his base. So now immortals moving on out, perhaps going to take down this poor Zergling that's just sitting there looking as a guard, and down goes that Zergling. But however, we have a couple of Zerglings may be able to run up that ramp, and let's see what's going to be happening. Those cannons are not going to be finished warping in, so Zergling's able to just sweep on through. Going to go ahead and surround one of those photon cannons. One photon cannon going to get taken down, and now here in comes the rest of this Protos army. Secondary cannon. Ooh, Colossus already out, and now quickly making short work of those Zerglings. Photon cannon being warped in. Photon cannons, these photon cannons prior to the patch only have 125 shields, 125 shields, 125 hit points. No destruction of those destructible rocks just quite yet. Creep now being generated by HayPro's overlords overhead, and we'll see how this is really going to work out. Hasu probably, yeah, going to drop down a pylon over here in order to get some better warp-in techniques, and that Colossus on that high ground will be able to shoot down those units. Do not see any range upgrade yet. Do we see? No range upgrade being researched. However, we are getting the weapons upgrade and an additional Colossus being produced. Taking a look at the armies, the army of HayPro sitting at 2725 versus 1550 in mineral counts. So that is definite advantage, and Overlord should realize that it should not spawn creep into space, because that just doesn't do anything. Stay tuned for part 2 and the conclusion of this replay between HayPro and Hasu here on Scrap Station.